To keep this quick here. Now here we have a video, in my opinion, that is quite deceptive. Now I don't know what language this guy is speaking, so this is my disclaimer. Maybe he's being honest about all of the things he's doing, and I am misjudging him or judging him too harshly. So here he displays a knife that he obviously wants people to be interested in, and I don't know if he's a maker or anything like that, but this is the first thing he does, in my opinion, that's deceptive. I'm going to go down to the scale. Now notice what he's doing right here. He is touching the scale on the face of the scale itself. He's not touching that block of wood at all. He's putting all the force of his hand into one singular spot on this more primitive spring-loaded scale to show you how sensitive it is. The only problem is he's pushing on the scale, and now he wants you to translate that into it's the same kind of pressure that is being applied by the knife. However, there's a huge problem with that. The knife is sitting on a block of wood that distributes the weight across the whole face of the scale, changing entirely how the pressure is going to show up on the scale's rotary numbers that you see there. It didn't move at all, but with the slightest touch of his fingertip in one spot, it did. This is incredibly deceptive, in my opinion, because it's basically using a physics trick to make it seem like there's less force than he's actually applying. The next thing is the rope he is cutting. He is cutting a real rope, but this rope is not a hard rope. Twisted Sissel rope is a hard rope that you can count on for reliability in knife cutting tests, but many people out there will use soft ropes to try to trick people into thinking the edge is being held longer. This is not a Twisted Sissel rope. This is probably a manila rope or something softer. Beware of tricks like this that people will use. Watch where people put their hands on how they do things whenever they're testing their knives, and pay attention to the materials they use and any other stuff, because it's very easy to get tricked and feel like a knife should be bought because of a very, very, very much a sleight of hand style marketing. And that's what I think this is here. If I am wrong, I really do regret it. Maybe this is the rope. Maybe this is the only rope that he can find. Maybe he is unaware of the trick with the scale he's doing. And maybe he's being honest with the people that are there, and he's not intending to deceive anyone. But a lot of people will do this kind of stuff just to trick people. And so there's two things you can watch out for in terms of how people get scammed. Taking a longer look at this guy's channel, from what it appears, there are no videos on his entire channel that show him or any of the men here making these knives. It's just videos of them doing rope cutting tests, and then occasionally videos of them sharpening them. So this man is not a knife maker. He is a knife buyer and a reseller, it seems to me. Or maybe he's just super passionate about knives and makes these videos. But if I was a betting person, I'd say he's probably sharpening and selling knives. So that's another thing to look for too. Whenever you see people doing these tests and they aren't the makers, they will do anything they can to make the knives visually seem more impressive. Because if you were to watch a knife cutting a smaller rope but is harder, and it weren't to go through it as many times, and you weren't to be aware of the fact that it was two different kinds of rope, you'd probably be more impressed by what you see in this video. If you weren't aware of how those old-fashioned scales work, you probably would think that there was being less weight applied than actually is for the cuts. But, this isn't to bash on this man or any of the people involved with this. And maybe they're being super honest about all that, and maybe these are the best materials they have at hand, and they're unaware of what's happening with the scale. But there are people who are fully aware of these things and will do them and pretend like they're making the greatest thing ever. So if you find his channel, please don't bash it. Please don't, hate on them or accuse them of anything. This is just something that I am observing, recognizing, and thought I'd share as a man who makes knives with everybody else, and how they can look for scams and how one more way of not getting tricked.